Your father's nothing but a deadbeat. And I'm going to teach you your place here, Black Ape. Ethan snarled, slamming the young woman's face against her locker, unaware that someone was watching the entire exchange and was about to make him pay dearly. It was Monday, 7:53 a.m., in the hallway of Building C at Westwood Academy. Layla, headphones on, clutching her binder, turned the corner with a rare smile. Then came the chill, the warning that always meant trouble. "Look who finally showed up," Ethan's voice hissed. She froze. The tall boy in his lacrosse jacket leaned against the lockers, that cruel grin already forming. "Leave me alone, Ethan," she said, but he stepped closer, trapping her. "You think you're better than everyone?" he whispered. She didn't answer. His friends snicker in the distance. "Don't talk to me like that, you black ape," he spat. The words hit harder than his shove. Layla inhaled sharply, but stood firm. "You done?" she asked quietly. His face twitched. He hadn't expected defiance. "Pathetic," he said. "You're just a quota. You don't belong here." "Earn my place," she shot back. "Better grades than you, better record too." He scoffed. "You think grades make you equal? You're nothing. You'll always be trash pretending to matter." Layla clenched her jaw, fighting the heat in her chest. Then his hand struck, shoving her into the lockers. Metal rang. Her binder fell, paper scattered. Laughter rippled through the hallway. Phones lifted. "Come on, fight back," someone jeered. Ethan grinned wider, soaking in the attention. "Look at you. All talk. Can't even defend yourself." Layla met his gaze from the floor, fury burning through the humiliation. "You're going to regret this," she said softly. He laughed. Big word from a black ape. The laughter died when the echo of boots cut through the air. The crowd turned. A man in a dark uniform approached with deliberate calm. His presence silenced everything. Ethan's smile vanished. The man's vest bore yellow initials. His eyes fixed coldly on Ethan, then on Layla still on the floor. "Tell me exactly what you did," he said, voice deep, quiet, dangerous. Ethan hesitated, stammering. She started it." The man didn't blink. "That's not what I saw." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded. "Her father," came the reply, even and heavy. The air thickened. Some students lowered their phones. Layla whispered, "Dad, please." Ethan forced a smirk. "So what? You think a badge makes you tough? You're just another clown with authority." Layla's father stared, motionless. Ethan, feeling false courage, took a breath. "You gonna cry for her, Black Ape's daddy?" The silence that followed was suffocating. Layla's father took one step closer, his jaw tight. "Say it again," he murmured. Ethan froze, realizing too late what he'd done. "You threatening me?" he croaked. "No," the man said. "Just letting you hear yourself." The pause stretched. Then, in a blur crack, Ethan's head snapped sideways as the man's fist connected. The impact echoed. He hit the lockers and slid down, blood trickling from his lip. Gasps filled the hallway. Phones trembled in hands. "You touched my daughter," the man said, voice calm as steel. "And now you've learned what that costs." Teachers rushed in, shouting questions. He only said, "Check the cameras." No one dared to move. Ethan sat dazed, clutching his face, the arrogance gone. Layla stood shakily, her breathing fast. The crowd stared, silent. Minutes later, in the infirmary, Ethan sat with an ice pack, trembling. His cheek throbbed. The door opened, and a man in a dark suit entered. "Everyone out," he said quietly. When they were alone, he looked down at Ethan. "You know who you assaulted today?" Ethan didn't answer. "She's the daughter of a senior federal agent. Hate Crimes Division, multi-state jurisdiction. You just made this personal and federal." Ethan's eyes widened. "I didn't know," he muttered. The man's tone didn't change. "Ignorance isn't an excuse. Every insult, every shove, it's all on record. You think this ends with detention? You just written your own case file." Ethan swallowed hard. "My dad's a lawyer." The man gave a cold smile. "He'll need help from God himself." Then he left, closing the door with quiet finality. Hours later, at 9:46 p.m., the Hayes house was dim. Ethan sat on the couch, bruised, silent. His father, Roger Hayes, paced with his phone. "I don't care what strings it takes," he hissed. "They can't treat my son like a criminal." No one answered. Ethan stared at the floor, remembering the sound of that fist, that voice. Outside, a car pulled up. Red and blue lights flickered faintly across the living room wall. Roger turned toward the window, disbelief hardening into fear. The knock came, slow, deliberate, final. He opened the door halfway. A man in uniform stood there, holding an envelope. "Mr. Hayes," he said. We need to talk about your son's incident this morning. Roger's throat went dry. This can't be happening, he whispered. But the officer's eyes said otherwise. Upstairs, Ethan sat frozen, hearing muffled voices below, knowing deep down that something irreversible had already begun, that the world he'd built on cruelty and confidence was cracking apart, and the sound of that single word, Black Ape, still echoed somewhere in the darkness between guilt and consequence when the second knock came. Heavier, closer, and the lights outside turned white. I'm telling you, it was a misunderstanding, Roger pleaded, hands shaking as he gestured toward the officer on the other end of the line. The boy was provoked. He's in shock. He needs therapy. No, he cannot be processed as an adult. He's 17. Ethan didn't listen. His eyes stayed fixed on the dark television screen, its reflection faintly showing his motionless face. The house around him felt distant, muffled. Then, the doorbell rang, sharp, breaking the silence. Who the hell is coming here at this hour? Roger muttered. The housekeeper opened the door and accepted a manila envelope wordlessly. She closed the door behind her and handed it over. What is that? Ethan asked, though his voice sounded hollow. Roger tore it open. Inside, a letter with an official seal. As he read, color drained from his face. No, he whispered. What is it? Ethan asked again, but his father didn't reply right away. He finally handed the paper to him. Ethan's eyes moved across the page. You are hereby informed that the minor Ethan Hayes is subject to formal investigation for possible aggravated hate crime under Federal Law 18 U.S. Code, paragraph 249. His grip loosened. The paper slid to the floor. This can't be real. Roger looked at him with a kind of fear Ethan had never seen before. Do you know who you messed with, you idiot? He's not just some black man. He's someone with power, the kind that can erase you without saying a word. But it was just a push, Ethan whispered. Roger shook his head. No, it wasn't. You were cruel, and now you're a target. For the first time, Ethan realized the truth. He wasn't untouchable. The next morning, Westwood Academy buzzed with whispers instead of laughter. They say her dad's a federal agent. He's connected, like intelligence-level connected. And Ethan showed up today like nothing happened. Layla walked down the main corridor, her black sweatshirt zipped halfway, her eyes calm, almost cold. People moved aside when she passed. Not with disgust this time, but with quiet respect. Those who had mocked her before couldn't even meet her eyes. She didn't say a word, not even when she saw Ethan standing by his locker. His face was bruised, his confidence gone. Their eyes met. One silent second stretched like eternity. No words, only a verdict passed through that gaze. Ethan looked away first. As he turned, whispers followed him, sharp and merciless. No friends now. No laughter. Just judgment. Layla opened her locker, stacking her books methodically. A girl approached, the same one who had filmed everything. Layla, I just wanted to say, don't talk to me, Layla said without looking. The girl froze, then stepped back in shame. And then came the sound, measured, heavy footsteps from the far end of the hall. Tap, tap, tap. The air stiffened. Even before they saw him, everyone knew who it was. Ethan tensed. Layla smiled faintly for the first time. The hallway fell silent. 10:03 a.m. Principal Lisa Kellington sat across from a man whose presence filled the office. His uniform bore the letters DOJ. His stare was cold, unwavering. Beside him, Layla sat composed, her silence louder than any words. On the other side of the room, Ethan sat with his father. Roger had nothing left to say. Sir, the principal began hesitantly. We deeply regret what happened. We're taking corrective measures. Corrective measures? The agent repeated softly, dangerously. Your school ignored reports of harassment for months. Teachers looked away. We are not talking about a push. We're talking about documented racial abuse. The woman stammered. We've suspended Ethan for a week pending the investigation. The agent's lips twitched in something like a smile. That won't be necessary. The federal district attorney's office has taken over. Ethan Hayes will be expelled by noon. And you, director, will be contacted by the Department of Education's Internal Affairs. Roger began to speak, but Ethan stopped him with a trembling hand. He had no words left, no defense. The agent turned toward his daughter, resting a hand on her shoulder. My daughter doesn't need protection, he said quietly. She's already stronger than all of you combined. He and Layla stood and walked out. 10 a.m. The corridor outside was silent as they stepped through. Doors opened. Conversation stopped. Students who once mocked her now turned away, ashamed. Ethan stood by his locker, hollow, watching everything slip away. His name, his privilege, his untouchable world, all gone. He was not destroyed by violence or revenge, but by truth. The kind that leaves no scars, only consequences. In the places where cruelty once echoed, silence now reigned. Heavy, final, and just. Justice had come, not perfect, not clean, but real. And as Layla walked through the doors of Westwood Academy, sunlight spilling across her face, she took her first full breath in months. For the first time, she felt free.